one thing Ludovic Morlot wants you to know. A night at the Symphony isn't just for your grandparents anymore. Since he took the baton in 2011 as the maestro of the Seattle Symphony, he's encouraged a new generation and different demographic to visit Benaroya Hall. He's knocking down misconceptions about the symphony experience in a way few conductors have achieved. He does so by embracing, even encouraging, non-traditional music genres in the symphony's calendar of performances. The result? Rave reviews, a pair of Grammys, and performing part of the soundtrack of the Oscar-winning film The Revenant. Whether it's Mozart or Macklemore, Ludovic Morlot makes it very clear, all music is created equal. What is your idea of music, and what would be my idea of music? Where does that come from?
Well, I mean, for me, music is that might sound still a little cliche, but still is the universal language. This is the language that we can all communicate with. And, you know, sometimes we hear this thing that, oh no, I'm not a musician, I have no skill for music. So that's all rubbish for me. I mean, we're all born with some kind of natural instinct for music. And I think this is the big journey with music, is that we create emotions. You know, I can meet tomorrow someone that speaks only Hungarian or that speaks only Serb, and you know, we'll take a violin and a piano and we can have a fabulous time. So I think that will forever remain the magical element of the musical language.
For Ludovic Morlot, music has been his language since childhood. Where did your love of music come from?
It came from my grandfathers, actually, both of them. There was no music in my family, the direct family. So I think my mom, in some ways, was very frustrated not to have had the opportunity to learn an instrument. So at least she gave us that gift to actually study an instrument early on in our lives. But the real passion for me started when I started going to concerts. And that was the gift of my grandfathers that I lived with from a very young age. And, you know, I could tell you I don't quite remember what music I went to listen to, but I remember the experience.
Was there something about your childhood, or were you a normal, typical kid and you just happened to fall in love with music?
Yes. I think I spent a lot of time on my own as a kid. And I think possibly I felt great company in listening to music, in actually, I was a violinist as a kid, so sometimes I would just come back from school and I would almost pick the violin just as a companion.
Today, that kid with the violin wields the baton as maestro of the Seattle Symphony Orchestra. Now in his early 40s, he's one of the youngest conductors of a major American orchestra and one of the most in demand as a guest artist around the world. Here at Benaroya Hall in Seattle, the man they call Ludo is driven to inspire his musicians and his audience, driven to make his symphony the heartbeat of the city.
I would say we have two missions, and I'm not sure which one is most important because they're both vital. One is artistic excellence in everything we do, you know, from playing Mozart to pops programming, to kids concert, family concerts, to community projects. Artistic excellence in everything we do. The parallel path is relevance of this institution into the community.
During his time in Seattle, Ludo has adopted grunge and embraced popular tunes. He folded them into the fabric of the symphony in a way that's putting Seattle's vibrant music scene back on the map for another generation.
I like big butts and I cannot lie.
In 2014, Sir Mix-a-Lot brought the house down on the Benaroya Hall stage as part of the symphony's Sonic Evolution series, celebrating local musical icons. Morlot has also helped the symphony bring home 2 Grammy Awards, one in 2015 for Best Classical Instrumental Solo. The symphony's first ever Grammy came a year before that for the Best Contemporary Classical Composition of John Luther Adams' Become Ocean. It's a performance that was later featured in the Oscar-winning film The Revenant.
when we win the Super Bowl, suddenly we take great pride in those achievements. Well, it's same. Seattle Symphony wins a Grammy, and the whole city, is celebrating for this. And so by really building up this identity, artistic excellence, and little by little by being recognized for it, this is how you build culture for a city, I think.
And to those who say, well, symphony, it's for older folks. They're the ones who go. It's not what young people do. You say?
Well, I say it's interesting because the only people that say this, they never set foot into this building. I can tell you for a fact because I've never heard anybody in this building making statements like this.
Super Bowl and symphony orchestra are rarely mentioned together, but Morlot, more than once in our conversation, compared his artistry in leading the symphony to prowling the sidelines of the city's favorite team.
I'm the coach. I'm the coach of the orchestra. A little more suspense. It's better. When you go to a football game, occasionally you wonder what Pete Carroll is doing on the side, But at the end of the day, you just want a great game that inspires you to want to go back to the stadium and build that passion for the game, right? Same thing.
And like a good coach, Morlot knows it is the players fans come to see, and in this case here. His job is to prepare and to get out of the way.
My job is to disappear under the music, My job is not to be coming out of a concert as, I want people to go out and say, wow, is that really what Brahms has written in 1883, Oh, and by the way, who was conducting tonight? If that happens, I've done my job right, you see.
Really?
Yeah. Of course. I'm not saying this being humble. This is how I drive my life on stage. If I can disappear, this is also where I can start really enjoying the music making. Because then it's not about me, it's about what is being created. And that's bigger than me at the end of the day. And the minute you step on stage, it's like undivided attention to what you're going to be doing. There's no chance that you can just be thinking about anything else but be so focused about creating what you're doing. I'm a teacher, As a conductor, I see myself as a coach, but also as a teacher. And there's nothing really glamorous to be a teacher, is it? I mean, the glamour about it is when you see your students achieve something phenomenal. And you take pride in this, and that's all I'm aspiring to do.
The bottom line here is all of this is to grow the Seattle Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah, and define the identity. Because, and we know this in Seattle as a whole, I find. After 5 years, I think I can say this. It's a phenomenal city, but still in quest of its identity somewhat, I do find. It's maybe unfair to say this, but I don't think so. I've been in enough places to kind of be able to associate a city with a culture that either I like or I don't. And and I find that Seattle is young enough to still be in kind of this quest of search for identity. So naturally, the orchestra is in that same growth pattern as well.
And all that said, the Seattle audience, good audience here.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Curious and, attentive. And when I say attentive, I associate to active listening. There's so many audiences that are noisy. They run out of the door before the last chord or on the last chord so that they can get to the parking lot before everybody. Seattle is very different, and there are other places that are very different, of course, but we are spoiled here. People are not only curious for new stuff, they love old stuff. They love to hate something as much as they love to love something. And as long as there's this discussion within the community, I like the Varese, or I hated it. But it can't just be this. It's now why, you know, what makes you feel so strongly about loving it or hating it? As long as we'll have this debate going on, we'll have a wonderful audience. I want the orchestra to sound better every day. I want to be a better artist every day. I think, you know, what would be really scary as a thought for me is that the moment that I don't feel I want to learn anything anymore. The gift that I want to preserve is that thirst and for learning. I want to remain a kid for the rest of my life.
You love what you do, don't you?
Oh yeah, well, it's my life, you know. I told you it's more than love. It's my reason to wake up in the morning, and I feel I can't emphasize enough how privileged I am to be having this life, you know. And my only regret is I'd love the days to be twice as long as they are. It's as much as we can do, but yes, I do love this job. I love my life for sure.